Hello there, it's Steve-O here from the Elite FPL podcast, and you may be wondering what on earth is going on. So, you're looking at this screen, and obviously this is the transfer screen to my team. Now, as most people will be aware, myself and Jason, along with the majority of hardcore players that have these chips in hand, will be wildcarding this evening and then using another chip, probably bench boost in double game week 35. Now you may be wondering, hold a minute Steve-O, why isn't this being live streamed? Why can't we interact with you? What's going on here? Well, I have some breaking news for anybody that is unaware. Simply put, YouTube have come up with a new terms and conditions in which if a YouTube channel does not have a minimum of 1,000 subscribers, you cannot live stream from a mobile phone. I alliterate that point. YouTube have changed their terms and conditions where you cannot live stream from a mobile phone if you do not have a minimum of 1,000 subscribers. Obviously our channel is nowhere near that, and unfortunately the only way, if we want to do extra material, predominantly me and Dan, this is pretty much the only way we can do it, and it's really frustrating. It's really frustrating. And what's even worse is you may be thinking, we can't even see you, Steve-O. You normally switch screens. Yeah, you're right. You are completely right. But I can't even do that. On the record version on YouTube, there isn't an option, unlike on the live stream one, to switch camera modes. So the only way I can do this with you being able to see the screen is by just literally talking. Well, let's be honest here, a bit like Davey FPL. The only difference is there's a difference of about 8,000 places between us. But joking aside, I am really, really disappointed with this measure that YouTube have taken. Just when I had come up with a solution to make the viewing experience a lot more enjoyable for you guys, this is what happened. Now, this particular ruling, let me just close the window there. This particular ruling came into place approximately, I would guess, midnight last night or today, whatever, however you want to see it, look at it. And I actually saw the notification on the comment section. So what I do is, whenever myself, Jason or Dan put up a video, I always look at to see if we've got new subscribers. Yeah, I'm not going to lie, it's a bit of narcissism in me, but whatever. I also especially want to look out for comments, because I think it's really important to see people's feedback and especially respond to people. So I was looking through the feedback to Jason's video, and I just saw this large message saying something along the lines of notification to user. I'm thinking, oh, this seems serious. And then there it was. It had that notification to say from now on, nobody is allowed to live stream on a mobile phone if you haven't got a minimum of 1,000 subscribers. So yeah, that's the reasoning behind this. The reasoning behind this video is, as I stated, the strategy is going to be to wildcard after tonight's deadline. And my goodness, it's a case of what players to bring in, because there is such a, what's the word? No, it's not really incredible, is it? We got such a high amount of players to pick from. Now, as it stands right this second, I've just gone through what I believe at the moment is the best team to get now, just based on the fixtures. So, in my opinion, in double game week 35, I mean, I'm stating the obvious, I'm not stupid, but I think, you know, you've got Man City, Southampton, Watford, Arsenal, Wolves, Spurs. They're the ones that I'm going to be mainly looking at. And you may be thinking, well, no, you've got 2 Liverpool. Well, let's be honest here. I'd be mad to get rid of 2 Liverpool players when their form is so good. And when we look at not just game week 35, but obviously game week 34, okay, yeah, they're at home to Chelsea, fair enough. But game week 35, look at that, away at Cardiff, beautiful. Now, obviously, we've still got tonight's game to factor in. That may all change our opinions. We still have, you know, give or take, a whole week to digest in what players will have the best form, you know. But right now, for me, Aguero, I've already stated, and Sterling are an absolute, for me, essential to this double game week 35, because number one, they ain't going to be rotated. Not when they've got Spurs at home, then of course Man United away. And as I've already stated, these 2 here, Aguero and Sterling, they love to play the big teams. They absolutely love it. And I'm more than likely going to be playing bench boost, if I'm honest with you. But again, this comes down to strategy, doesn't it? If I don't play bench boost, then I've got more money to spend on more premium players. Because then I play a 3-4-3 and I would triple captain either Aguero or Sterling because of their form versus the top 6 teams. You've got Matt Ryan and Lewis Dunk here. I am not trusting Brighton attacking assets whatsoever. I'm really not interested in Brighton attacking assets. I was interested in Glenn Murray, but I've been put off by him because basically, let's be honest here, Joe on the Fantasy Football Scout, who is a Brighton fan, basically said that Glenn Murray is going to play 2 games in a game week, so I ain't going to choose him. Knockaert just isn't consistent enough. And to be honest with you, I don't want to be losing a midfield spot to someone like Anthony Knockaert for one of these guys, if you know what I mean. I think defensively wise, I think there's a solid chance of getting a clean sheet against Cardiff. This game against Bournemouth ain't got a hope in hell of being a clean sheet. You never know, could be the other way round, but I can see that being like, say, 2-1 either way. And then Brighton at home to Cardiff, you know, like 1-0, 2-0, something like that. But Cardiff, of course, fighting for their lives. Then again, ironically, they're playing my team, Burnley. And if we beat Cardiff, that means they're going to be 8 points adrift of us. And I think they'd still be 5 points clear. They'd still be 5 points behind Southampton. So I think if they lose to us, then I just think they'll have just given up by that point, and I think then Brighton will just have a, shall we say, a relatively comfortable game. But again, there's just so much information to digest at the moment. It's crazy. I mean, when we're doing this game week 34 wildcard, you've got to factor in a way, what your double game week 35 players are going to be having in game week 34. And look at that. City away at Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace are terrible at home. And I can see quite a few goals there. 3, 4, maybe 5, depending on how City can be bothered to perform. You may have noticed that I'm not interested in... I haven't actually got any, as it stands right now, any United assets. The simple answer is because I'm just not interested in them at the moment. I just think they've lost a bit of form. Players like Pogba aren't performing very well. Rashford's hit or miss. Regarding if Lukaku's playing or not. There is one player that I'm considering, and that is Martial. And I'd probably bring in Martial for Son. But again, the fixtures don't really inspire me from a United point of view. You know, at home to West Ham. Again, it all depends on how Chelsea perform against West Ham. You know, if West Ham put up a fight against Chelsea and it ends like 0-0, 1-1, or a very tight 2-1 either way, or 1-0 either way, then that's going to be like, oh wow, I'm concerned about West Ham, because they seem to up their game against the top 6. But if they were to get, not necessarily battered by Chelsea, but if they were to lose quite comprehensively to Chelsea, let's just say 2-0, 3-0, 3-1, something like that, then yeah, again, my mind's changed. So this particular wildcard, like I said, is going to be there just so I can activate it immediately once the game updates tonight. So then at least then I won't miss out on potential price risers, so to speak. But I mean, you know, Valerie there, I think for 4.1 million is absolutely incredible value. I've seen that Angus Gunn is now the first choice keeper for Southampton. Has done quite well recently with the points. Matt Ryan, I've already explained here. Ryan Bennett's an interesting one. Now, they've got a double game week. I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that they're going to keep a clean sheet in either of their games, but it's 4.1 million and a good enabler. Here's another team that I need to look into. Arsenal. But as I've discussed already in the previous podcast that I did regarding the preview for this blank game week, their away record is pretty naff, you know, but they do like to score goals. So I'm even tempted to bring in Lacazette tonight. I'm really tempted after seeing Jason's 8-point hit last night. And if you haven't seen his video that he quickly put up, it's only like a 2-minute video and it just shows basically his team for this particular blank game week. But he brought in Salah, which fascinated me. I don't know how he did that. Oh, he got rid of Sterling, that's why. Sorry, he got rid of Sterling. But surprise, surprise, I'm assuming he watched my solo podcast, but he has blocked me off and he's going to go with Hazard as captain. I reckon he may change it tonight. I don't know, but who knows? Point we're standing is that Arsenal, away from home, they score goals, but they also concede a lot. So actually, my Kolasinac pick may change. Soma McCain pick. I may even double up on Spurs midfield, have Son and Eriksen, and have Lacazette, Aguero, and Jimenez as my front three instead. This is what I mean. There are so many premium options to choose from. Watford, they've got some really nice fixtures, and I was going to go for Decore for 5.9, but then I saw Deulofeu was 5.7. I thought, well, what's the difference in 0.9 for basically two players that have scored the equivalent point? So I thought I'd go with Deulofeu. Jimenez, I mean, you know what you can do against the top 6 teams, and as we see next in double game week 35, he's up against, where is it here? Arsenal at home. You can see them causing Arsenal some problems, and Jimenez just seems to love scoring against these teams or assisting. At home to Brighton, though, again, could end up Brighton winning that because Wolves can't seem to break down these teams. They love playing on the counter. Look at that, Southampton there, double Southampton defence. It's one of those where, you know, that could end 0-0. Again, this is all speculation, but right now, as it stands, that is my wildcard team at the moment. But it's going to change. It's going to change about 1 million times, to be honest with you. The more and more information that I'm getting given, the more regarding form. I mean, for all I know, Mane may be sent off tonight. You know, that'll bring in £10 million that I could spend elsewhere. You know, these are all scenarios that right now, as it stands, at 3:15 in the afternoon on Friday, this is what I've just come up with off the top of my head based on who I think have within reason, the best fixtures, in my opinion. This will all change, of course. So to reiterate the point what I said earlier on, the reason why this is not a live stream podcast is because YouTube have changed their terms and conditions where if you're live streaming from a mobile phone, I alliterate that again, live streaming from a mobile phone, you cannot do that unless you have a minimum of 1,000 subscribers. So some of you may not understand that, and you may be thinking, well, hold on a minute, what about your live stream with Jason? What's going on? Because Jason does it from a laptop, and he's the host, that doesn't count. So our live streams with Jason, so when me and Dan join Jason, we can do the live stream still. But the problem is that, as you may have noticed, our podcasts have been a bit all over the place. So I've been doing quite a few solo ones. Jason did his one last night. Dan did one a couple of days ago. And the three of us haven't really got together much. And there is a reasoning for that. Is because due to unforeseen circumstances, our work schedules do not coincide with one another. In other words, I work really early in the morning. Dan works up to quite within reason late in the evening, and Jason kind of finishes in between. So the three of us can't really get together, which is a shame really. So at the moment, our podcast scheduling is going to be a bit all over the place, and it may not be with the three of us together much over the coming weeks. Please do not quote me on any of that. I am just letting you guys know, out of respect to you, our hardcore elite audience, that this is the circumstances at the moment. I also feel, just to get this off my chest, so to speak, that what I'm really disappointed by is the fact that when we do live streams, the most important thing the three of us do is interacting with you guys. I think that's the most important aspect to live streaming. I don't think when you live stream, I don't think it should be about us as the hosts and us just, doing what I'm doing now, which is it's all about my Wildcard team. After a period of time, you get the idea because it's up on screen. There's only so many times I can talk about Aguero, Jimenez and Kane as a front three. The most important factor to doing live streaming is the interaction with you guys. And John Harris and FPL Booner, they may joke, but it's quite obvious that these guys appreciate the fact that when I do a solo podcast, I do go on for quite a while because I love interacting with you guys. I absolutely love it. I find the response I get to my solo podcasts are absolutely fantastic. And of course, I'm not just talking about myself here, even when me, Jason and Dan do the podcast together, the interaction that we have with you guys, it just brings the podcast to life and it just keeps the conversation flowing. Whereas doing this right now, other than this mini little speech that I'm giving, if I wasn't doing this, then there's nothing more I could say, and this video wouldn't be lasting 20 minutes. It'd be lasting about 15 or 10 because I'd just be going over the basics. And obviously, because this is being done through my mobile phone, there's only so much I can do. I could do, for example, I'm not really interested in having Harry Kane in my team, so let's get rid of him. And, I think his fixtures aren't good enough, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to bring in, for example, this is when Lacazette as an example. Let's just put him in for a bit of fun here. So it's one of those where could I do that? Yeah, but I think after a period of time, when you're watching this on a recorded version, it gets a bit boring. Whereas if I was interacting with you guys in the community, there's some substance to it, and there's some. I think it just keeps the content moving, shall we say. It doesn't stay stale. And what I pride, and I mean this, what I pride myself on when I do the Elite FPL podcast with Jason and Dan and the solo ones is I pride myself on the fact that we actually do listen to our audience and we do interact with you guys. I do watch, like I say, a few FPL podcasts, and I do find their interaction with their community or the people in chat, I think is really... The word disrespectful is very, very strong. They're not disrespectful, but I do find that it's more just half-assed. Do I have to speak to you? All right, then. I'll speak to you then. I do find it a bit like, just come on, just answer the questions. And that's what I find our podcast kind of is a bit more unique, shall we say. It's for any of you egg kids out there, you won't understand this Dragon's Den reference, but for any of the older generation here, as Theopathetus always says, what is your USP? Well, our USP is the fact that we love interacting with you guys and getting you guys involved. So, after that mini speech, I'm going to call it a day there. We have not quite hit the 350 mark. I just can't believe it. We went from 344 to 349 subscribers, and it's just stopped. It's just completely stagnated, which I'm surprised at. But as I've stated, and I'm fully aware as Jason keeps going on about, that the world of fantasy football is coming to an end now. And the hardcore viewers and the hardcore audiences and everything, they've kind of all got to grips with who the podcasters are and whatnot. But if you do enjoy our content and you have not subscribed, please do. If you've enjoyed, now this is the key one here, if you've enjoyed this video and want to see more, or you want to see less, like I said, all feedback is welcome. I alliterate that point and seem to be using that word a lot today. Feedback to us is very, very crucial and important to help the viewing experience for you lot, basically. If it wasn't for you lot, then this podcast would be nothing. You've already seen the changes that we've made so far to our podcast, and that's not down to us three. That's down to your guys' input in how to help change our product for the better, and it's been working. We've already implemented, well I have implemented this new live stream in which I was switching back and forth from the FPL site to me. Now, unfortunately, due to these unforeseen circumstances, we can't do that anymore. So now I'm having to do it like this. So yeah, like I said, any feedback on this video is welcome. If you want to see my blank Game Week 33 preview and you haven't yet, go check it out. You'll find out some interesting statistics regarding not just the matches, but also the key captain choices. Some interesting stats on that front. And there's especially one player that stands out. If you want to go and watch Jason's short, quick video regarding his blank Game Week 33 team, he uploaded it last night, all looking in pristine condition. By all means, go check that out. Again, all feedback welcome on those two videos. I'm going to leave it there. Like I said, if you've enjoyed this video, hit the like button. Tell me what you think. I always interact with you guys. If you want to privately message us, then follow us on Instagram or Twitter, which is @EliteFPL, and you can private message us about whatever you have concerns regarding the podcast. And yeah, hit that follow button on those two formats. That's where we do all our advertising for when we next go live. When we next go live, so the three of us together, I'd love to think it is going to be on Sunday evening at the usual time of 6:30. Please don't quote me on that. Like I said, you will find all about that on Sunday, when the three of us will be able to know exactly when we're going to be going live. So yeah, thank you for watching this video, and we will see you hopefully on Sunday evening. Cheers, guys.